the last thing that we talked about just before we closed our section based on organic chemistry, we talked about the homologous series. Who can remind me, what did we say about the homologous series? What do you still remember that we had stated about the homologous series? Yes, Orifa?
So isn't it a group of organic compounds that have the same general formula?
Yes, guys, the homologous series is simply a group of organic compounds that can be defined, or that have got the same general formula, or you can say that that are differentiated by CH2 group. You can say any one of those things. I remember this is the definition that I gave you guys, and where is it? Here. A series of organic compounds that can be described by the same general formula. This is how you define it. It can be described by the same general formula. So in this session, we're going to look at what is that general formula. Okay, so we talked about different types of homologous series, or different groups of organic compounds that form our homologous series. What did we talk about? Which ones do you still remember, guys? We said how many are they, first of all?
So 9, I think.
9 of them, right? Let's hear number 1.
Alkanes.
We have got alkanes. Number 2.
Alkenes.
We have got alkenes. Number 3.
Alkynes.
We have got alkynes. Number 4.
Haloalkyne. Yo.
We have got haloalkanes. We have got haloalkanes. Number 4. And then
alcohol.
We have got alcohols. Number 6.
Carboxylic acid.
We have got carboxylic acids. We have got carboxylic acids. And then number 7.
Esters.
We have got esters. Number 8.
Aldehydes.
We have got aldehydes. Number 9.
Ketones.
We have got ketones. So you guys should remember that these are the 9 groups of organic compounds that we have that form the homologous series. So whenever they ask you the homologous series, they just want to know which group are we referring to here. So we can be referring to alkanes, alkenes, alkynes, or haloalkanes, or different types of them. So I gave you a task, guys, to research more information about alkanes, alkenes, and alkynes. But before we closed the session last time, we said that alkanes, alkenes, and alkynes, what is common between these 3? The alkanes, alkenes, and alkynes, what is common between these 3? What did we say is common between? Yes.
Carbon. Never mind. It's wrong.
Anyone who still remembers, guys? We said alkanes, alkenes, and alkynes. What is common about them? Yes, the Hatso?
So can I try?
Yes.
Oh, no, it's wrong. I wanted to say that they're saturated, then I realized it's alkanes.
No. Guys, what else? We said there's something common about these three homologous series, or these 3 groups of organic compounds: alkanes, alkenes, and alkynes. What is common between them?
So is it the fact that they are it's a carbon bonded to a carbon, and then they are bonded to hydrogen?
So give me one word to describe what you just said.
Hydrocarbons.
Yes, the hydrocarbons, guys. All of these are hydrocarbons. What does that mean? What does that mean that all of these are hydrocarbons? What does that imply about them?
They are hydrogen bonded to carbon.
Yes. Okay. No. That's incorrect. Anyone else to say it in a correct manner? What is a hydrocarbon?
They all contain hydrogen and carbon.
Nope. Wrong phrasing. Someone else. Yes.
Can I answer?
Yes, Orifa.
So it's an organic compound that is carbon bonded to hydrogen only.
Yes, the only was the missing part, guys. You cannot just say that these are compounds that have got hydrogen and carbon. You must put the only to say that the only atoms that we'll find in these 3 groups of organic compounds is that they've got what? They've got hydrogen and carbon atoms only. Okay, they don't have any other types of atoms besides hydrogen and carbon atoms. Are we clear on that one?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we're going to look at each and every one of them and what is unique about them. Yeah, we're just going to have an overview of these organic compounds. We're gonna start with alkanes. We have already told you guys that alkanes are hydrocarbons. Okay, so alkanes, they are hydrocarbons. Okay, when the hydrocarbons, remember that they only consist of carbon and hydrogen, so you'll never see an alkane that consists of oxygen or any other atom besides hydrogen and carbon atoms only. All right, and now just before we go deeper into the types of organic compounds, what did we say we use to identify different types of organic compounds, or what makes us be able to identify different types of organic compounds?
So can you please rephrase the question?
Okay, what do we use to identify different types of organic compounds? For example, I use the fact that you have got a beard to identify that you are a boy, right? So basically, what do we use to be able to identify different organic compounds?
So don't you use the formula,
No.
the functional group?
What did you say we use, guys?
So the structural formula.
No, guys, you guys didn't revise the work. I told you guys, what do we use to be able to differentiate or to be able to separate different types of organic compounds, or what signs do we see in each and every one of those? Should you guys don't read after our sessions, guys, it's very important for you to go and look over the work. You cannot just keep on cramming and passing thinking that you guys are grasping the content. So you guys tell me what we didn't mention anything or anything that helps us to identify different types of organic compounds. Is it, guys? Didn't we mention something known as a functional group?
So, but that's what I said, and you said it's wrong.
You say the structure. You say the structural formula there.
No, sir, after that, I said functional group, so you can listen to the recording, and you said no.
Okay, it's fine. Should see my ears heard something else is fine. Guys, we say that we use a functional group to be able to identify different types of organic compounds. If I say, how do we identify that you are a boy? We see that you've got some beard. We see that you have got some elements of being a boy. How do we identify that you are a girl? We see some elements of being a girl. So similarly, how do we differentiate between different organic compounds? We use the functional group. We say that each and every homologous series or each and every group of organic compounds, it has got its unique functional group. Didn't we say that, guys? Didn't we?
No.
Yes, we did say yes, or Rifa, maybe I didn't hear properly, but basically, each and every homologous series, it has got its own functional group, and we defined a functional group as either a bond, or it can be an atom, or it can be a group of atoms that are the ones that help to determine the physical and chemical properties of a group of organic compounds. In other ways, it's just that bond or that atom or those groups of atoms that help us to identify which group of organic compounds is it. So the functional group is the one that will help us to identify that this is an alkane, this is an alkene, this is an alkyne, this is a haloalkane, and so forth and so on. So basically, we use the functional group to be able to do what? To identify the type of organic compounds that we are dealing with. Are we together, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So each and every homologous series, each and every group of organic compounds, it has got its own unique functional group. So let's look at alkanes. We say that alkanes are hydrocarbons, okay? It's because they are elements, the compounds that are classified as alkanes, they only have got carbon and hydrogen atoms only. You'll never see any other atom that is different from carbon and hydrogen. It's only carbon and hydrogen only. So these are hydrocarbons, and these are saturated hydrocarbons, guys, because they've got what? They've got single bonds. So basically the functional group for alkanes is single bonds. So whenever they ask you what is the functional group for an alkane, the functional group for an alkane is single bonds between carbon atoms. So basically, for you to be able to identify that here you are dealing with an alkane, you must be able to observe that between the carbon atoms of that particular compound, they are only single bonds. Okay, we shouldn't find a double bond. It can only be what? Single bonds. So for us to say or to classify a certain organic molecule as an alkane, we must be able to say this is a carbon atom, this is another carbon atom. Between these two carbon atoms, you can see that we only have got one dash, which actually shows that we only have got a single bond. If we continue, we can see that between this carbon and that carbon, there is only single bonds between carbon atoms. So basically, we say that those are alkanes. Alkanes are saturated hydrocarbons and they've got single bonds. So their functional group, or how do you identify that this is an alkane? You identify it by seeing single bonds between carbon atoms. Are we guys together? Are we together, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, please, guys, write on the WhatsApp if there's a problem with me, maybe if it's cutting or something like that. Okay, I was still explaining, guys, to say when we have got alkanes, how do we identify that these are alkanes, or what is their functional group, or what is it that we use to identify that here we are dealing with alkanes? We identify that by using what? By using single bonds, by seeing single bonds between carbon atoms. So alkanes, they must have what? They must have single bonds between carbon atoms. Hey, this PowerPoint. Okay, so the functional group of alkanes, you will say it's what? You will say it's single bonds. So this single bonds is the functional group for alkanes, because each and every carbon atom in an alkane, it has got single bonds. They've got single bonds between them. Do you guys see that? Are we guys still together?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so one other thing that you would use to identify that we are dealing with an alkane here, the names of alkanes, they end with the suffix "ane." At the end of the name of an alkane compound, we see the suffix "ane." You guys know that a suffix, it is the last part of a name, right? The last part of a name. So for example, if I give you the name propane like this, propane, this is an alkane. Reason being, at the end of the name, we see an what? We see an ane. So this ane here, it is the one that qualifies this to be an alkane. So all alkanes, their names end with the suffix "ane." Are we guys together?
Yes, sir.
All right. So for example, if you look at compound number 1 here, compound number 1 here, it is written pentane. Can you guys all see it here? It is written pentane. You can see that at the end of the name, there is an "ane" there. So even if they don't give you the structural formula and they just give you the name, you can be able to deduce and say that this is a what? This is an alkane, because the name ends with an "ane." Do you guys see that?
Yes, sir.
Similarly, if we look at compound number 2, it is ethane. Okay, so compound number 2 is ethane. At the end of the name, there's an "ane" there, so it means that's an alkane. Similarly, we just go do the same thing on compound number 3. When we look at compound number 3, its name ends with an "ane" as well. It's butane. So basically, the "ane," the last part of the name is saying "ane." It's an "ane," so it means that that is from an alkane. That's an alkane. the compound is an alkane. Are we guys together?
Yes, sir.
All right. So now we have got this thing known as a general formula, guys. When you talk about a general formula, we are talking about a formula. It's more like a molecular formula that applies to all different compounds of the same homologous series. Okay, how do I mean? For example, when you say that alkanes have got a general formula, CnH2n plus 2. So this is the general formula for what? For alkanes. But what does this general formula mean? You guys must be able to interpret. You guys must be able to know what does this mean. Okay, so if we have got 2 carbon atoms in an alkane, let's just say this is an alkane that is having 2 carbon atoms. For us to be able to find the number of hydrogen atoms in that alkane, we must do what? We must say 2 times the number of the carbon atoms plus bani plus 2. Let me repeat again. So basically, if we have got a certain number of atoms of carbon, for us to find the number of hydrogen atoms in an alkane, we must be able to do what? We multiply the number of carbon atoms by 2, then we add 2 on top. For example, if we have got an alkane that has got 2 carbons, for example, if you look at compound number 2, it is ethane. It consists of 2 carbons, right? Can you see, guys, we've got 1 and we've got 2 carbons. Do we all guys see that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, so ethane has got 2 carbons, so we can say we have got 2 carbon atoms in this particular organic compound. The number of hydrogen atoms, you can be able to find them by saying 2 times the number of the carbon atoms plus 2. In this case, guys, how many carbon atoms are we having in ethane, which is compound number 2? We're having 2 carbons.
2.
So if we say 2 times the number of carbons, which is 2 in this case, plus 2, this is going to give us 2 times 2, which is going to be 4, and then 4 plus 2, which is going to be 6. So it means that if we've got an alkane with 2 carbons, it must have 6 hydrogens. And just to confirm, guys, if you can look at the actual compound here, which is the ethane here, if you count the number of hydrogens, how many hydrogens can you see from this ethane? Let's count them. Just count the number of hydrogens that you can see on a molecule number 2.
6.
6, right? So we have got 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it confirms the general formula that states whatever number of carbon that you have, when you want to find the number of hydrogen atoms, you multiply the number of carbon atoms by 2, then you add 2 more on top. Okay, let's just say I've got C4. So let me just say I've got C4. So I've got an organic compound that has got 4 carbons. Okay, it's an alkane that has got 4 carbons. How many hydrogens must it have if it's an alkane? Just work out how many hydrogens must an alkane have if it has got 4 carbons. Let's say I have got an alkane with 4 carbons. How many hydrogens must it have using the general formula?
10.
It must have 10, right, guys? How did we figure out the 10, no?
By calculation or by the number 3 calculation?
Okay, by calculation. By
2
calculation. How did you figure it out?
2 times 4 plus 2 is equals to 10.
Do you guys all hear that? Are you guys
Yes, sir.
hearing? Yes. So basically, in every alkane, okay, the number of hydrogen atoms, you can get them by saying 2 times the number of carbon atoms. In this case, we're having 4 carbon atoms. Then this is plus 2. And this is 2 times 4, which is 8. And 8 plus 2 is equals to 10. So it means that an alkane that has got 4 carbon atoms, it must have 10 hydrogen atoms. If you want to confirm, guys, do you see compound number 3? Are you guys able to see compound number 3 here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, how many carbons does compound number 3 have?
Oh,
It has got 4 carbons. How many hydrogens does it have? Count them one by one. Don't use this method for now. Count them one by one. How many hydrogens can you see here?
10.
We're having 10 hydrogens. So do you guys kind of see how the general formula works?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so the general formula, it applies to all alkanes. So all alkanes, they follow this pattern. All alkanes, they follow this rule whereby the number of hydrogen atoms can be obtained by saying 2 times the number of carbon atoms plus 2. Then we can be able to get the number of hydrogen atoms. So is anyone lost when it comes to alkanes, guys, so that we can move?
No, sir.
All right. The second homologous series that we are looking at is alkenes. So alkenes, guys, I said alkanes, alkenes, and alkynes. They are common because all of them, they are hydrocarbons. Okay, all of them, they are hydrocarbons. So they are common. All of them are hydrocarbons, meaning that they've got only hydrogen and carbon atoms. Okay, so alkenes have got at least one double bond. Now that's the difference between alkenes and alkanes. Remember, guys, that the alkanes, we say that they only have got single bonds between carbon atoms. You still remember, guys, Anish, when you say that alkanes, we identify them by seeing only single bonds between carbon atoms. So each and every carbon atom that is bonded to another carbon atom, it has got single bonds only between them. That's what makes an alkane to be what it is. But when it comes to alkenes, we say that alkenes, they have got a double bond, at least one double bond. So for grade 12, you guys are going to only do alkenes that have got only one double bond. But if you proceed later on, you will see other types of alkenes. Okay, so basically this double bond, it is what we use to identify that this is an alkene that we are dealing with. All right, so in other ways, the double bonds, it is actually the functional group. So whenever you see a double bond between the carbon atoms, between 2 carbon atoms, so they've got at least one double bond, let's say between carbon atoms. Not just any double bond, guys, it must be between carbon atoms. So whenever you see an organic compound that has got a carbon that has got a double bond with another carbon, and maybe the chain continues and stuff like that, this double bond is the functional group, is already telling you that this is an alkene that I'm dealing with. So if we look at the examples that I've put here, guys, we have got prop-1-ene. This first compound here is known as prop-1-ene. Do you guys see where the double bond is?
Yes.
Yes, we have got a double bond here, guys. Do you see that between these 2 carbons we have a double bond? So the presence of a double bond between 2 carbon atoms, strictly between 2 carbon atoms, it qualifies it to be an alkene. If we look at example number 2, guys, do we see where the double bond is? Which carbon do we have the double bond at? If we look at compound number 2.
3.
So you're asking where the carbon bond is. So what's the question?
The question was, where do we find the double bond in this second compound that we have here?
So in the center.
Okay, which carbon? Carbon number what? If you just count the carbons, maybe from left to right. Carbon number 3.
So carbon number 3 and 4.
Yes, between carbon number 3 and 4, because if we count the carbon, this is carbon 1, this is carbon 2, this is carbon 3, and this is carbon 4, this is carbon 5, this is carbon 6. So there are 6 carbons in this particular alkene. But we notice that the bond between carbon number 3 and carbon number 4, we notice that the bond between carbon number 3 and carbon number 4 is a double bond. Do we all guys notice that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So it qualifies to be an alkene. So that's the functional group, or that is what we use to identify that this is definitely an alkene. And then we use the same trend, guys. The names of alkenes, they end with the suffix ene. So it's an in. So alkenes, you can hear the name alkenes has got an in at the end. So the name of alkene compounds, it ends with in. For example, the first compound here that we have, this is prop-1-in. So the name is prop-1-in, or you can say it's known as 1-propene. This is prop-1-in. Compound number 2 is hex-3-in. So at the end there is an in there. So the in there, guys, it is the one that tells you that this is a what? Is an alkene. So the names of all alkenes, they end up with an ene. So the suffix simply means the ending part of a name. It's an ene. So that qualifies it to be a what? To be an alkene. Are we guys all together?
Yes, sir.
Guys, do you still hear me, or am I too harsh?
No, sir, you can hear you.
All
I can
right.
hear you.
So alkenes also have their own general formula. The general formula for alkenes is CnH2n. What do you guys think this means? I want your own interpretation. If I say the general formula for alkenes is CnH2n, what do you think this suggests for the alkenes? You raise your hand. What do you think this means, this general formula? How can you interpret it in your own terms? Yes, Nogu?
Say Cn, you put I think you put the number of carbons times the number of hydrogen by 2, and it's equals to I think so.
Yes, so basically this is trying to say that if we have got a certain number of carbons, which I will call N, to find the number of hydrogen atoms in an alkene, it must be 2 times the number of the carbon atoms. All right, so basically the number of hydrogen atoms are double the number of carbon atoms in that alkene. For example, if I say that I've got an alkene, and this alkene, its molecular formula says that it has got 3 carbons. So what do we expect to find the number of hydrogens as in that particular alkene?
6.
Yes, we're supposed to find 6 hydrogens, because this general formula says if we've got a certain number of carbon atoms, the number of hydrogen atoms must be twice the number of carbon atoms. You also do mathematics, guys, so I'm sure you guys are not surprised, right, with these subscripts. If we've got a certain number of carbon atoms, to find the number of hydrogen atoms in that particular alkene, in an alkene, Jalo, guys, not in every other compound, in an alkene, to find the number of hydrogen atoms, you must multiply the number of carbon atoms by 2. So it means that when we have got an alkene compound that has got 3 carbons in it, so when we find an alkene compound that has got 3 carbons in it, we expect to see that there are 6 hydrogens in that particular alkene. Are we guys together?
Yes, sir.
If you look at compound number 1, how many carbons does this? I'm sure we've already classified it to be an alkene. We agree on that because we found a double bond between 2 carbon atoms. Now my question is, if you look at compound number 1, how many carbons does it have? 3 carbons. How many hydrogens does it have? Just from counting them, count each one of them. How many hydrogens does it have? 6 hydrogens. So do you see that, guys? This general formula, it is true for all alkenes that we have. So each and every alkenes, or each and every organic compound that has got a double bond between 2 carbon atoms, it must follow the same general formula. That's why we call it a general formula, because it applies to all alkenes. Okay, so if I just give you a molecular formula like this and say this is C10H20, you guys, without even seeing the structural formula or without even seeing this skeleton diagram or something, you must be able to identify that this is an alkene just by seeing the relationship between the number of carbon atoms and the number of hydrogen atoms. So if you look at this compound, guys, this is C10, this is C10H20. Do you guys say it? C10H20. Do you guys all say it?
Yes, sir.
So even if you don't see the structural formula, or even if you are not given a structural formula for this organic compound, you must be able to identify that this is an alkene. And how are you supposed to identify that? You compare the number of the carbon atoms and the number of the hydrogen atoms. And you can see that the number of the hydrogen atoms is actually 2 times the number of the carbon atoms. So it means that this is following this pattern of a general formula of an alkene. Are we guys together?
Yes, sir.
Okay, guys, let's take the 10 minutes break. When we come back, we should do alkynes and alcohols and haloalkanes until we finish everything up.
Hey Lapo, I know that you've been enjoying this wonderful video and most likely you've been enjoying watching this handsome face in front of you, but sorry ladies, I'm taken. I just here to tell you that Educate is on the road to 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. So please click the subscribe button and click the notification bell so that you get notifications whenever I post new videos. I want you guys to pass. Okay, so if you make my dream true, I reach 100k subscribers, I will make your dreams come true. I will even get you to varsity. I will get you with 7 distinctions. Yes.
Now let us now look at the alkynes. This is the last hydrocarbons that we have. The last hydrocarbons that we have. We've already talked about alkanes, the ones that have got single bonds. We've already talked about alkenes, the ones that have got a double bond. Now we look at alkynes. These alkynes, they are also hydrocarbons as well. These are unsaturated hydrocarbons. Okay, and these unsaturated hydrocarbons, they have at least 1 triple bond. So for us to be able to identify that here we are dealing with an alkyne, or for us to be able to identify that the organic molecule that we have at hand, it is an alkyne, we see it by having a triple bond between carbon atoms. Not just a triple bond anyway, guys. It must be a triple bond between carbon atoms. Are we guys together?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So we can say that the triple bond is actually the functional group of alkenes. So the functional group for alkynes, it is the what? It is the triple bond. So whenever you see a carbon triple bond with another carbon and the chain continues, however, just know that this is an alkyne because you have got 2 carbons and the bond between these 2 carbons is a triple bond, or you've got 3 lines that represent a triple bond. For example, if you look at the examples that I've inserted here, we've got example 1. We also have got example 2, right? When you look at example 1, guys, are you able to see a triple bond here, or are you able to say that this is an alkyne?
Yes, sir.
Where do you guys see the triple bond?
Between the carbon atoms.
Okay, between these 2 carbons.
Carbon number 1 and 2.
Okay, so we are still going to learn how to count carbons correctly. Do you count from left to right or from right to left? We are still going to learn how to count that correctly. But for now, just know that at least when we have got a triple bond between 2 carbon atoms, or whenever we have got 2 carbon atoms and they are separated by 3 lines, it shows that we have got a triple bond between them. So it makes it to qualify as an alkyne. So the functional group, or the bond that we use to identify that this is an alkyne, is a triple bond. Whenever we've got a triple bond, that helps us to say that this is an alkyne, or that helps us to identify that this is indeed an alkyne. Are we guys together?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. If you look at this compound number 2, organic molecule number 2, we have got a triple bond somewhere. Do you guys see the triple bond? And between which 2 carbons do you see the triple bond? Do you guys see the triple bond first of all?
Yes, sir.
Between which 2 carbons?
3 and 4.
3 and 4.
Okay.
2 and 3 from the right.
Yeah, if you count from the right to the from the left to the right, you would say it's between carbon 3 and 4. But if you count from the right to the left, you would say it's between carbon 2 and 3. Do you guys kind of notice that?
Yes.
Yeah, but we are still going
Yes.
to learn. We are still going to learn later on, Wuti, which side do we need to count from? Do we need to count from right to left or from left to right? That is why for now I'm not going to put any numbers on the carbons and just say we have got a carbon here and another carbon here, and then these two carbons, they are separated by a triple bond, or there's a triple bond that exists between these two carbon atoms. So the fact that we've got at least one triple bond in this unsaturated hydrocarbon, it tells us that this qualifies to be classified as an alkyne. Are we guys still together?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now we
sir.
also look at the suffix, guys. You now see the pattern. We also look at the suffix. So the names of alkynes, they end with YNE. So the name of each and every alkyne, it's YNE at the end. That is the suffix that we use when we are naming alkynes. For example, compound number 1, it is named 1-propyne. So the YNE, the last part of the name is YNE. It's the ine from the alkyne. It is YNE. So basically, this is 1-propyne. This is 2-pentyne. So this YNE, it is the name that helps us, it is the suffix that helps us to identify that this is definitely an alkyne that we're dealing with. Are you guys still together?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And same pattern again, we look at the general formula. The general formula for alkynes will be CnH2n-2. All right, so we are still using the same pattern, guys, to say that N here represents the number of the carbon atoms. So for us to be able to obtain, or for us to be able to find the number of hydrogen atoms in an alkyne, we need to multiply the number of carbon atoms by 2. Then we need to subtract 2 from them. Okay, for example, if we look at compound number 1, it has got 3 carbons. So I will say that this is 3 because we've got 3 carbons in this particular compound. If you count them, it is 1, it is 2, and it is 3. So there are 3 carbons that are found in this compound number 1. But now the number of hydrogen atoms, how do we obtain them if we know that this is definitely an alkyne? Because guys, we can see that there's a triple bond there, so we believe that this is an alkyne. But the number of hydrogen atoms, don't count them. I want you guys to use this general formula. We must say 2 multiplied by the number of carbon atoms, then we must subtract 2 from the number that we get. For example, here, since we've got 3 carbon atoms in this alkyne number 1, the one that we are working with here, we have got 3 carbon atoms. So you must say 2 times those 3 carbon atoms minus 2. And 2 times 3 will give you 6, minus 2 will give you 4. So it means that an alkyne that has got 3 carbons, it must have 4 hydrogens. Are we guys together?
Yes, sir.
Now do count the number of hydrogens. Now you're allowed to count the number of hydrogen in this provided alkyne. The given alkyne there, how many hydrogens does it have? Count one by one. How many hydrogens does it have? Compound number 1.
4.
So 4.
Yes. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this is confirming our general formula that says for each and every alkyne, the number of hydrogen atoms can be obtained by saying 2 multiplied by the number of carbon atoms, then subtracting 2 from it. Even if we look at compound number 2, it is the same scenario. On compound number 2, we have got 5 carbons in this organic compound. You can count them manually, guys, the number of carbons. We have got 1, we've got 2, we've got 3, we've got 4, we've got 5. So there are 5 carbons in this second compound. So there are 5 carbons. To obtain the number of hydrogen atoms there, I just need to say 2 multiplied by the number of carbon atoms, in this case, which is 5 carbons, then I may have to subtract 2. And 2 times 5 is 10 minus 2 will give me 8. So it means since I'm following this general pattern or this general formula of an alkyne, the number of hydrogen atoms can be obtained by saying 2 multiplied by the number of carbon atoms minus 2. And this indeed will give us C5H8. If you guys count manually the hydrogens here, you are going to find out that there are 8 as well. So do you guys get the pattern, or do you guys get the sense of what a general formula is?
Yes, sure.
Yeah, so the general formula applies to each and every compound of that homologous series. Now, we have got this ones, which is the haloalkanes now. So we are done with the hydrocarbons, guys. We have got alkanes, alkenes, alkynes. These are the hydrocarbons. We are done with them. We say that alkanes, they are saturated hydrocarbons. Why do we say that they are saturated hydrocarbons? Anyone to tell me that? Why do we say that alkanes are saturated hydrocarbons? Yes, ne?
They have a single bond between the carbon atoms.
Yes, there are only single bonds between the carbon atoms. So we can say these are saturated hydrocarbons. What about alkenes? Can we say that these are saturated hydrocarbons?
No, sir.
Why
Isn't
not?
it unsaturated?
Yes, they are unsaturated because they've got at least a double bond. And remember that a double bond, we say it's a multiple bond, right? Do you guys understand each other?
Yes, sir.
All right. And alkynes, are they saturated hydrocarbons as well?
Yes.
Yes.
No, sir.
I heard yes and no.
They're unsaturated.
No, sir.
Okay, so we say that they are unsaturated hydrocarbons. Why do we say that they are unsaturated?
The triple bond.
Yes, they've got a triple bond, and the triple bond is like we're having multiple bonds. Only single bonds between carbon atoms will give us a saturated compound. Now let's look at haloalkanes, guys. Haloalkanes, they are just alkanes as well. They're just alkanes. You can hear from the name that we have got a what? We have got the prefix halo, then we have got alkanes. So the properties of alkanes, most of the properties of alkanes, the chemical properties of alkanes, they also apply to haloalkanes. The only difference is this halo, guys. The only difference is this halo that you can see here. So haloalkanes, these are just alkanes as well. But these alkanes have got at least one halogen. That's the point. So basically, alkanes that consist of at least one halogen, we name them haloalkanes. All right. So what are halogens, guys? You guys already know them from the periodic table, don't we? Do we know them, guys? Periodic table, the halogens. Yes. So these are the elements that are found in group 7 on the periodic table. You guys already know how to interpret the periodic table from grade 10 and your previous grades. So this is group 1, this is group 2, this is group 3. You skip the transition metals. This is group 4, this is group 5, this is group 6, this is group 7, and this is group 8. If you are using the olden periodic table, this will probably be, if you're using the modern one or the oldest one, is probably going to be group 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, but let's just classify it as group 7 for now. So the elements that are found in group number 7, so it is this one here that is descending. So this is group number 7. You can see groups number 7, it is descending here. Can you guys also see it? Group 7.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So if we look at group number 7, we have got examples. We can take examples there. We can take examples of those halogens that we have. Example of a halogen that we have there, we have got a chlorine. You know, guys, that chlorine is found in group number 7, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so if chlorine is found in group number 7, it qualifies to be a halogen. So the halogens that we have, it can be chlorine, it can be fluorine, it can be iodine, it can be bromine, These ones are the ones that we use for your grade 12. Don't mention the other ones. So once you see an alkane, but that alkane has at least one of these elements, either chlorine or fluorine or iodine or bromine. If there is at least one of these halogens in it, it's known as a haloalkane. You don't just refer to it as an alkane alone anymore because there is a halogen in it. So these are just alkanes, but they've got at least one halogen. And what is a halogen again? It's just an element that is found in group number 7 on the periodic table. So we are talking about elements such as fluorine, chlorine, bromine, and iodine. Are we guys together?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so for example, if you look at this compound that I put as an example, this is compound 1, this is compound number 2. All right, so compound number 1 here, if we look at it carefully, it has got a structure of an alkane because each and every carbon atom, it is separated by single bonds. So we've got single bonds between all the carbon atoms. So we can say that this is a saturated molecule. It's a saturated molecule. But does it qualify to be a hydrocarbon, guys? Do you think that this is a hydrocarbon?
No.
No, sir.
Why not, no?
Because it contains halogen.
Because there is a halogen, right? It contains at least something that is not carbon and hydrogen only. Because for it to be a hydrocarbon, it must have carbon and hydrogen only. But when we look at a molecule number 1 carefully, molecule number 1, as much as it has got carbon and hydrogen atoms, we realize or we notice that at some point we find a Br there, and the Br is a symbol for bromine, and bromine, it is an element that is found in group number 7 on the periodic table. So whenever you write a chemistry exam, they'll always provide you guys with a periodic table, but just so you know, guys, that bromine is an element that is found on group number 7 on the periodic table. So the fact that this element is found on group number 7, it qualifies as a halogen. So this is an alkane by nature, but it consists of a halogen. So we say it's a haloalkane. But the naming of haloalkanes, it is still the same as the naming of alkanes, because the name of this compound, it is 2-bromopentane. What do you guys notice about the suffix of this name? 2-bromopentane.
Suffix of the what, sir?
The suffix of the name. The suffix of the name 2-bromopentane. What do you guys notice about it?
It ends with
And
Yeah, it ends with ane. It ends with an ane. So it means that this is just the same as an alkane, because when you did an alkane, we said that the alkanes, they've got names that end with what? With the suffix ane. So similarly for haloalkanes, they've got a similar naming structure as well. Okay, it's just that there's a presence of a halogen, but the other properties are still the same. Are we guys still together?
Yes.
so
Okay, look at compound number 2. Would you say that this is a haloalkane? Would you say that this is a saturated hydrocarbon? There are 2 questions that I've given. Okay, would you say that this is a saturated hydrocarbon? That's the first question. Would you say
Yes,
that is this a saturated hydrocarbon?
yes,
No.
sir.
No.
Guys, you must pay attention to the term saturated hydrocarbon. Guys, what does hydrocarbon mean? I want you guys to sing this definition until it sinks into you. What does the term hydrocarbon mean?
Organic compound whereby carbon is bonded to hydrogen only. So was that a nice song?
Yes, it's very beautiful with good melodies. So a hydrocarbon is an organic compound that consists of only carbon and hydrogen. Guys, the moment you see something else that is not carbon and hydrogen, it cannot be a hydrocarbon. So when I ask you, is compound 2 a saturated hydrocarbon? Yes, it is saturated because we can see that each and every carbon atom here is bonded to another one with a single bond. So there are single bonds between carbon atoms. Okay, there are single bonds between carbon atoms indeed. So it is saturated, but is it a a hydrocarbon? Is this a hydrocarbon?
No.
Why not, Bonol?
Because it contains a halogen.
Yes, it contains something else that is different. In this case, it's a halogen, which is Cl. So it must be a haloalkane. But when it comes to the naming, guys, at the end of the name, we have got ANE. We have got ANE at the end. Are we guys still moving together at the same pace, on the same page?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I believe you. So we've got 3 types of haloalkanes. That is what you need to know. So you need to know that we have got 3 types of haloalkanes. Okay, so we have got primary. We have got primary haloalkanes, right? That's the first type of haloalkane that we have. A primary haloalkane. So a primary haloalkane is a haloalkane in which the carbon bonded to the halogen. So here we say that the carbon bonded to the halogen is bonded to one other carbon. This is how we define a primary haloalkane. So we say it's a primary haloalkane when the carbon that is bonded to the halogen, guys, to the halogen, not hydrogen, it's halogen. It is bonded to one other carbon. So if you guys can be able to identify halogens, you guys would be good in this. So if we have got carbon here, and let's say we have got hydrogen bonds here, we have got hydrogen, we have got another hydrogen, we have got carbon, we have got hydrogen, we have got bromine here, then we have got hydrogen. So guys, if you look at this haloalkane, do you see the carbon that is bonded to the halogen? First of all, do you guys see the halogen?
Yes, sir.
What is the name of the halogen that is in this particular organic compound?
Bromine.
It's bromine.
Yes, it's bromine, it's Br. So this is your what? This is your halogen. So you can say that this is definitely haloalkane. Do you see the carbon bonded to the halogen? Do you guys see?
Repeat that, sir?
Do you see the carbon that is bonded to the halogen?
Yes, sir.
Yes. This is the carbon bonded to the halogen. So now you guys are going to count for me. How many other carbons is this carbon bonded to the halogen bonded to? Okay, it's a bit of a riddle English. How many other carbons is this carbon that I'm highlighting in yellow bonded to? How many other carbons is this bonded to? How many other carbons is this carbon bonded to? This yellow highlighted carbon. I'm talking about the carbon that is bonded to
One, sir.
it is only bonded to one carbon, right? Yes, guys, there's only one bond, guys, that points to carbon here. The other one, this is hydrogen, you cannot count them. Okay, so what you do when you want to see the type of haloalkane that you have, you look at the carbon that is bonded to the halogen. You first identify the halogen, then you look at the carbon that is bonded to the halogen. You try to locate and to try to see how many other carbons are bonded to this carbon. In this case, it is 1. So it means that this is what? This is a primary haloalkane. So in a primary haloalkane, the carbon that is bonded to the halogen. In this case, this carbon, the yellow highlighted carbon, it's the carbon that is bonded to the halogen. It is bonded to one other carbon, which is the one that I've highlighted in green. Are you guys seeing that?
So,
Guys, can you all see it?
Yes.
Hey, you guys are worrying me.
yes, sir.
The way you are quiet is just worrying me. I don't want to teach here and you guys don't understand what I'm trying to say. Okay, a secondary haloalkane. This is an haloalkane in which the carbon, this is in which the carbon to the halogen is bonded to two other carbons. So when we have got a secondary haloalkane, we say that the carbon bonded to the halogen is bonded to two other carbons. So when we want to draw that, just going to draw a simple structure. So I am going to say that this is a carbon, this is a carbon, this is a carbon, and then now I say this is a hydrogen, this is another hydrogen, this is another hydrogen, this is a Cl, this is a hydrogen, this is a hydrogen, this is a hydrogen. Okay, so can you guys identify the halogen in this particular organic compound that I've drawn here? Can you guys identify the halogen?
Yes, sir.
Which one is the halogen? No.
Chlorine, Cl.
So we're having a Cl here. So chlorine is a halogen there. So this is our halogen. Now we need to look at the carbon bonded to the halogen. The carbon that is bonded to the chlorine. In this case, is it carbon number 1? Is it carbon number 2? Or is it carbon number 3? The one that is bonded to chlorine.
2, sir.
Carbon number 2 is bonded to the halogen, or carbon number 2 is bonded to the chlorine, which is our halogen. Now my question is, now you look at how many other carbons is this carbon number 2 bonded to?
2.
2 other carbons. Right. So we say now that's a what? That's a secondary haloalkane. Now this is now a secondary haloalkane. It is because it's type, guys, not its name. Okay, that is the type of the haloalkane. It is a secondary haloalkane because the carbon bonded to the halogen. In this case, carbon 2, it is the carbon bonded to the halogen. This carbon 2, it is the carbon bonded to the halogen. It is bonded to 2 other carbons. In this case, it is bonded to carbon 1. Do you see the bond, guys? The single bond to carbon 1 and the single bond to carbon 3. Are you guys seeing it?
Yeah.
Guys, it's going to be difficult, guys, to classify the haloalkanes. I'm asking, guys, is it difficult?
No, sir.
All right, because you guys need to say if you guys are encountering problems, because this is supposed to benefit all of you. So if you don't understand something and you don't mention it, you're gonna give us a problem. You're gonna give yourself a problem. Okay. Now we also have got a tertiary haloalkane. We now say the same statement. The carbon bonded to the halogen. The carbon bonded to the halogen is bonded to 3 other carbons. Tertiary haloalkane, we say that in a tertiary haloalkane, the carbon bonded to the halogen is bonded to 3 other carbons. So we are still following the same trend, guys. Okay, still following the same trend. So I don't know if I'm gonna have enough space to draw here, but I will try my best and say this is carbon, space constraints. Let me just draw it somewhere else. Okay, so let's say I've got a carbon here, I've got a carbon here, I've got a carbon here, then I've got a carbon here. Let's just say here I've got a carbon again and a hydrogen and a hydrogen. Guys, make sure that each and every carbon is surrounded by 4 bonds. Do you still guys remember that each and every carbon must have 4 bonds around it? Yes. So if the carbon doesn't have a total of 4 bonds around it, you're gonna have a problem. your molecular formula is going to be wrong if you don't have 4 bonds around. Okay, so this is a compound, guys. Although it looks like it's a lot, but this is a compound here. First of all, guys, can you identify the homologous series to which this compound belong? Can you identify the
Please repeat
homologous?
that, sir.
Okay, can you identify the homologous series into which this compound belong? This compound here.
Isn't it a halo alkaline? Halo. So how do you say it? Halo alkaline. Huh?
Haloalkane. Haloalkane. Yes, haloalkane. So why would you say that it's a haloalkane, Orifa?
So because it is carbon bonded to hydrogen, which is bonded to the halogen iodine.
Okay, so because it consists of an iodine atom, we have got a halogen. Iodine, guys, I is a symbol for iodine. So iodine, we know that it falls under group number 7 elements, which qualifies it to be a halogen as well. Okay, so we can say that this is a haloalkane because the other bonds are just single bonds. Okay, so it's an haloalkane. It has got an iodine atom, so it means that it is a what? It is a haloalkane indeed. So now the question is, do you guys see the carbon bonded to this iodine or to this halogen? Okay, so if I name them carbon 1, 2, 3, 4, which carbon is bonded to the halogen?
3.
Carbon 3, right? So carbon 3, it is the carbon bonded to the halogen. So this is the carbon bonded to the halogen. So here we have got a carbon bonded to the halogen, the one I will highlight in blue. Okay, so now you are just going to count how many other carbons is this carbon 3 bonded to, because we are only focusing on the carbon bonded to the halogen. We want to try and see if it is bonded to how many other carbons. We want to see how many other carbons is it bonded to. So here, looking at this blue highlighted carbon, which is the carbon bonded to the halogen, or the carbon bonded to iodine in this particular case, how many other carbons is this blue highlighted carbon bonded to?
3.
3 others, right? Guys, where are you getting 4? Okay, so you count them, guys. We have got carbon number 2. This carbon 2 here, it is the first carbon. This upper carbon here, it is the second one. This carbon number 4, it is the third one. All of them, they are bonded to this blue carbon because all of these lines are coming from this blue carbon. So basically here, the blue carbon, which is the carbon bonded to the halogen, it is bonded to 3 other carbons. If we can count them, it's 3 other carbons bonded to this blue carbon. So that qualifies it to be called a tertiary haloalkane. This is a tertiary haloalkane. Are we guys together?
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So are you guys going to have problems when it comes to identifying the type of haloalkane?
No, sir.
Okay, so I think I'm still going to give you an activity, and also an activity for geography. Yeah. The life sciences activity, guys, I want it before you write the test. And don't forget, your test is going to be invigilated by your parents. I'm reminding you for another time, all your tests will be invigilated by your parents. So you better do justice with your parents there in your home. Yeah, but that's it. So you guys just need to know this for now about haloalkanes. Know how to define a primary haloalkane, know how to define the secondary haloalkane, know how to define the tertiary haloalkane. Usually we award that 2 marks each. Is anything going to be difficult at this point, guys?
No, sir.
not going to be difficult, right? All right. So
Yes, sir.
for a haloalkane, we don't usually consider the general formula of a haloalkane because a haloalkane has got a mixture, it has got a halogen as well. But if you want the general formula of a haloalkane, you can say it is CnH2n plus 1x. Okay, if you just want the general formula, but we don't really define a general formula for haloalkanes for God knows what the reasons are. But basically, when you have got a certain number of carbon atoms, to find the number of hydrogen atoms, you multiply the carbon atoms by 2, then you add 1, then X represents the halogen. Yes, Nobu?
Oh, I wanted to ask you, what does the X mean? Oh, it represents the halogen.
Yes, so the X represents the halogen there. So if the halogen is chlorine, then there must be a Cl there. Okay, so X, it represents the halogen. So if the halogen is chlorine, then X must be chlorine. If the halogen is bromine, then X must be the bromine. If the halogen is iodine, then X must be the iodine. Are we guys together?
Yes, sir.
All right, yeah, but we don't really use this general formula, guys. We don't really consider it, but just for you to know, you can test it out to see what it does it work with a certain haloalkane that you may have. Okay, so
Yes, sir.
yeah, so we are done with the basic ones. Now we look at the ones that are becoming more complex a bit. All right, but wait, just before we finish about haloalkanes, guys, the functional group for haloalkanes, if I can ask you guys, what is the functional group for haloalkanes? What would you say you would use to identify that this is a haloalkane? What do you use to identify that this is a haloalkane? Yes, no?
Halogen.
Yes, the presence of a halogen. So basically a halogen itself, we say that is the functional group. We say the halogen is the functional group of haloalkanes because once you see a halogen, you guys can definitely say that this is a haloalkane. So it's the functional group. Remember, guys, the functional group is simply a bond, or it is an atom, or it is a group of atoms that you guys use to determine the physical and the chemical properties. So in this case, the atom that we're using to determine that this is a haloalkane is a halogen. That is the functional group, guys. Don't overthink it, guys. The functional group is simply something that you use to identify the type of organic compound that you are dealing with. Okay, something that you use to identify the type of organic compound.